You know, a person really depends on their brake system several times in just a single day of driving to bring your vehicle to a safe stop. And if you want that system to work properly, you're going to have to do some maintenance on it periodically. Hi, I'm Scott Cusey, and I'll be your narrator and host as we take a look at repairing the disc and drum brake system on your vehicle. Now, if you really sit down and think about it, you actually might use your brake pedal to stop your vehicle or bring it to a safe stop upwards of 60 or 70 times in a single day of driving. Well, it doesn't sound like really that much to expect out of the brake system, but if you figure it over a 365-day period, you're actually using your brakes somewhere around 25,000 times in a single year. Well, that's going to require some maintenance to keep it working properly. Now, you should be able to expect life from your brake system of anywhere from 30 to about 50,000 miles before you have to do any major work. But we're certainly going to show you step by step how easy it is to do your own brake work on your own vehicle. Now, of course, to do that, you're going to need some basic tools like wrenches and a hammer and some punches and chisels and different things like that. But one of the things that we're going to talk about in this chapter are some of the specialty tools and items that you are going to need to complete the tasks that we describe on this tape. Now, in Chapter 2, we'll take a look at how easy it is to replace the drum brakes on your vehicle. In Chapter 3, we'll spend some time on disc brakes and disassembling and reassembling a typical front disc brake setup. Whereas Chapter 4 will spend some time demonstrating the differences that you'll experience if you have to tangle with the rear disc brake system. Well, some of the tools that we're going to be using during the tape I've got laid out on the bench, and let's review them right now. Of course, you're going to need a jack and some jack stands and a tire iron to get the wheels off the vehicle and get the vehicle up in the air so you can service it. But some of the other specialty items that you're going to need is when you're working on disc brakes, you might need a set of hex sockets like this right here to remove caliper bolts. Now, another common item used on today's vehicles are a Torx bit socket like this that have sort of a six-pointed star on them. Now, you might need a socket like that to remove calipers also. If you're working on drum brakes, you'll probably need a file and or some assorted sandpaper to be able to clean up the backing plate areas where the brake shoes ride. Another item you'll need when doing drum brakes is a little brake adjusting spoon like this one here. It's got a little bend on each end, and that makes adjusting your drum brakes up a lot easier when it comes time to do that. Now, as long as we're on the line of drum brakes, a tool like this makes it real handy for removing the return springs and for reinstalling return springs once you've had them off from the vehicle. A tool like that makes it real easy. Here's another return spring tool, and it's just a little bit different version of the same type of tool, so either style works well. Now, when it comes to hold down springs, you're going to need a tool that looks like one of these here. And what these do basically is you push in on a cup with this tool, give it a twist, and then you can get the cup and spring off the retaining pin. So once again, it's not an absolute necessary tool, but certainly makes the job go easier. Now, disc brake tools, we've got a C-clamp right here. Now, you're going to need probably a 4, 5, or even 6-inch C-clamp to be able to return the disc brake piston back into the caliper so you can make room for those new disc brake pads. So that's an item that you'll need when doing disc brakes. Another item for rear disc brakes is one like this. It's really a brake piston return cube is what it is, and it enables you to turn the piston back in on those calipers that have a turn or twist-in style piston inside of them. Another item that you're going to need is some synthetic brake lubricant. And I generally always like to use that whenever I'm doing a disc brake job because you got to clean and lubricate those sliding surfaces so your caliper doesn't stick and so you can get maximum life out of your brake pads. So definitely something you want to have when you're doing the job. Wheel bearing grease is again something that you're going to need if you need to pack some wheel bearings. Of course, I always like to have safety glasses and dust respirator when I'm doing brake work to prevent any asbestos dust from entering your lungs. And a couple of last items you're going to need here are some spray brake cleaner for cleaning off many of the parts, some hand cleaner for cleaning yourself up after the job's done, and some shop towels to go along with the job. Lastly, one of the things I always like to have, and no toolbox is complete without it, is a manual that's designed specifically for the vehicle that you're working on. And the reason you want that is because there are certain procedures that pertain exactly to your type of vehicle, and a manual like this will make that job go a lot quicker and a lot easier. Right now, I'd like to congratulate you for choosing Car Care Seminar to get you on the road to doing your own repairs the right way, the first time, and every time. Right now, let's start with our first brake repair. The tools you'll need to replace your drum brakes include your vehicle's jack and a lug wrench, a piece of chalk or tire lettering stick, a pair of jack stands, a brake spring pliers, a brake hold-down spring remover, and a spoon-type brake adjusting tool. These specialty brake tools will make the job easier and might save you from some skinned knuckles. The items you'll need to complete the brake job are a replacement set of brake shoes, new replacement brake spring hardware, and a spray-type brake cleaner. We also recommend wearing safety goggles and a protective dust mask while doing brake repairs. And for cleaning up afterwards, don't forget to pick up some hand cleaner and towels. First, park the vehicle on level ground and block the tires on the opposite end of the vehicle from where you'll be working. Loosen the lug nuts 1/2 turn, but do not totally remove the lug nuts at this time. Raise the vehicle with the jack until the bottom of the tires are lifted off the ground. Support the frame of the vehicle with jack stands. Never work underneath the vehicle without the support of jack stands. Finish removing the lug nuts and remove the tires. Next, loosen the hold-down clamp on the top of the master cylinder. This will allow room for return of the brake fluid from the wheel cylinders back into the master cylinder. Now mark the stud-to-drum relationship for proper balance upon reassembly. If you're working on the rear brakes, be sure to release the emergency brake lever. Now, loosen the brake adjuster. This will provide easier removal of the brake drum. If you're working on an axle-type drum assembly, you may need to spray some penetrating oil around the studs and on the drum assembly to loosen built-up corrosion. Tapping the face of the drum lightly with a hammer may also help removal. If you are working on a spindle-type drum assembly, common on the rear axle of front-wheel drive vehicles, remove the dust cap, the cotter key, the lock nut,